This, of course, might be the one. This will the winner of this game will go on to face one of the stronger teams in our entire gauntlet. It's the second half, right? And you're going to see Enemy, and then after that, we'll see the players play up against Allegiance. Enemy does have the same roster, unlike EnVy. So that will be everything you've come to expect out of Enemy. We'll see where that one goes. But, as I said, we've got one more to go. Most Wanted have the first selection. Athena and Terra still going to be banned out. Most Wanted, I'd like to see them return to the Ra.
They should potentially here. Now they're going to take away double Guardians away from EnVyUs. We saw just how annoying Kiki was with that Sobek, but taking away Terra and the Guan Yu, it is going to be the Ra for Most Wanted ManRay. We'll see if he elects to go for another glass cannon build or if he's going to switch it up depending on EnVyUs' draft.
I will always reserve the option. I don't think at all should you lock in your strategy from minute one. But I want to see him go pure mage. It's just, one, it's exciting, and two, it's highly impactful. EnVy, however, make two, in my opinion, correct choices. We've seen the support player play Bacchus every single game, basically, with the exception of game number 1, maybe game number 2 of the first set, and Bacchus has been very successful, so they'll take it away. But the Erlang Shen, this was the selection that we saw paired with the Ra, alongside the Thor. This was going back to the set 1, which was maybe 5 hours ago at this point. This was the composition that we saw Most Wanted play and got their first win against Noble. So this is a very strong composition. Ra Erlang Shen really brought to prominence from Team Eager, a very successful team in the SPL. Jing and the Bacchus, however, like I said, I think these are correct choices from EnVyUs. Not only are they just good choices, but they're also stripping them from Most Wanted, who have been very successful, specifically with DayToRemeber on Jing.
Already, with Erlang Shen and Thor being locked in, I can almost guarantee that ManRay will go for that glass cannon build. There's just too much frontline presence between these two gods, especially if that's going to be Erlang on NikHaro yet again, which is going to allow the solo laner more flexibility with what he wants to run in that lane. So it's going to be Janus for EnVyUs. The first game was just so pretty. By Team Money.
Pretty's a good word for it. I think that pretty leaves a lot of other adjectives on the table, and I by no means do I think it was flawless. I don't think it was perfect, but it was very pretty. It had shining moments, a lot of good escape mechanisms for some teammates that got out of trouble, and himself, and then of course, that exciting.
The double snipe, the twofer.
You were so excited.
I was just off my chair.
I love when you get excited.
It's not every day that you see a twofer, man.
No.
Not even first he hit ManRay with a single,
Thursdays.
right? Yeah, usually it's just 2 for Thursdays, But anyway, he hit ManRay with that single snipe, and then 2 minutes later, he hits 2 people, killing them both.
Yeah, it was hot.
And then he also hit ManRay in a fire, randomly around Fire Jet, which also almost one-shot him with that Soul Reaver.
It's funny, Tully. A lot of times you can look at these drafts, and I think in the game that Most Wanted won, I think you say, okay, all right, they've got the draft that they're going to win as far as their not just the competition, but the players are concerned. Right? I think you look at this EnVy draft, and I think you can say the same for game number 2 with the Loki, right? All right, if everything goes right, they're going to win here knowing the players. Well, EnVy, they've got their solo lane Arachne there for
Kiki.
Yeah, that's so for those of you, like we said, Kiki has been in the mid lane for a long time, but Kiki has played Smite at a professional level for a very long time. And if you're one of the newer players, this might seem a little odd, but Kiki's a little odd. And Arachne is certainly one of his go-to characters in the solo lane. This is a draft that will be exciting to watch EnVy play. The green has returned. I think EnVy are lined up, as far as all the players are concerned, to win this game. Most Wanted on the other side are lined up, as far as the picks are concerned, to win this game. This is exciting. It's even. I think that this is exactly the way I want a game 3 to be. This is exactly the way I want a game 3 to be. Just absolutely fantastic.
And then, just looking for the right invades, both of these teams grouping up, looking for any sort of ward control that they can do. This is what you have to do at Smite at this point in time. Nobody anymore can just group up by themselves to go for these wards. You will get caught out of position. There's a lot of kill threats between these two teams. Plazma could potentially level that stun if he wanted to find somebody that doesn't have a natural escape, such as Kiki, for example. ManRay could go for the slow. Obviously, the pin from NikHaro is the crucial deciding factor for that first blood potential. So I like the idea that both teams are always together when they're warding.
Yeah, and just going back to put a bow on what I was talking about. If I'm rooting for Most Wanted, this is the draft that I hope that they grab. And if I'm rooting for Envy, this is the draft that I hope that they grab. This is going to be a very exciting game number 3. I like what Kiki's doing here. He
has the Wrath.
Yeah, he's half invading. He's just trying to.
There's no Wrath on the other side. They have to disengage.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And, you know, that right there, he's going to look for the kill. Obviously, Arachne very strong in the early game. Plazma gets taken down to about half HP. Skeeledon smacks him as well, and that'll hurt just a little bit. The speed buff is down for Envy. Skeeledon soloed that one, but nothing else.
With the webs. That was very important. Kiki dropped the webs, allowing Skeeledon to pick that very buff up by himself. And now that's going to allow them to get the wave first, make the rotation to invade the blue buff with the Wrath. Now, they don't even have to use the Wrath here. They could save it for the speed buff, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Now they're both level 2. Most Wanted can't really contest this one. They probably think that Kiki used that Wrath for the blue buff, but if they overextend, they will die.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it is one of the older sort of platitudes in Smite. Going back to a friend, you don't fight the bug.
No.
You just don't fight the bug. You cannot take Arachne one-on-one. In all of her iterations, she's been redone a couple of times, and that's the one thing that sort of stays true, is that you just don't fight the bug.
Not until you have that physical defense online or some sort of sustain just to be able to counteract that bite initially coming out of Kiki. Having a lot of health potions, having some multi-pots, going to be able to stay in the laning phase for quite a while now because Aquarius doesn't have a blue buff of his own. Even though he is the Chaac, he should be able to stay in the laning phase, but Kiki's going to look to outpoke him here.
Yeah, and that blue buff on the other side is available. We're going to get a brief pause because of something. So we're here just about 2 minutes deep, and everything all tied up. You can see ManRay. ManRay is the DC. That's why we have the pause. Hopefully he can come back. This is, oh man.
Not again.
This
Not
is
like
game.
this.
Well, see, okay, yesterday.
Not like yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we had a disconnect, and it was zeros on the side of an already losing team, and Deathians came in to play defense and etc. And you know that's unfortunate, sure. But this is a game 3 scenario.
Very early in the game.
Game 3 scenario, very early in the game, and like I said, I mean, this is I want to see this one play out with the way that these two draft selections have gone. Usually, you can tilt your coin in one direction, but this is 50-50 down the middle for me as far as these drafts are concerned. I'm gonna fight ManRay if he doesn't come back.
Well, ManRay did thankfully come back, so there is some life and hope for Most Wanted as they continue on this third important game-deciding factor to who will advance to the next stage to face off against enemy. But now, both of these soul laners, they want to be able to box each other out, but Aquarius is not getting the better end of this. Kiki's forcing Aquarius to use his lane clear on himself, and that's exactly what Kiki wants.
Yeah, and so, like we said, I've just sort of, hovered over the character. Don't fight the bug. Why don't we go a little bit more in depth? Arachne's a character that we don't see a lot of, and when we do see her, it's Shattered playing her in the jungle, right? We very rarely see anybody else play this character, let alone in the solo lane. As we said, Kiki's a little odd, and we're going to see a little bit of an odd selection. Why don't you break down this matchup? After Skeeledon drops the ultimate onto Aquarius, Kiki doesn't have an ult of his own, so he's not going to be able to find it too safely a pick. Skeeledon just barely survives. First blood goes the way of Kiki on this solo Arachne.
No Neath ultimate this time around. ManRay playing the Raw, so great pick off there, exploiting the fact that Aquarius wasn't level 5 yet, didn't even have enough mana to utilize his healing ring to get away from that one, didn't have the passive up, and like you mentioned before, you don't fight the bug here because her primary ability that she is maxing out does damage and sustains her at the same time. A lot of gods don't have that same luxury, right? So that's why Kiki's been able to really control this matchup. As long as Aquarius is being zoned out of the wave, Kiki will always win it, especially having this Wrath, which can also be used as another form of CC. She has the second steroid, which is actually not even being maxed out here, actually maxing out the web instead, trying to amplify those spiders.
And here comes a secondary gank onto Aquarius. This time he's got the ultimate, but will it matter? Certainly doesn't look like it. Skeeledon gets the kill this time around. Same duo getting the kill. And the solo camp has been initiated.
And whenever an assassin can snowball like this, getting 2 deaths on the opposite solo laner side, this is going to be such a big gap in experience-wise, especially stripping away the blue buff repeatedly over and over again. EnVyUs was actually known for this kind of assassin style back when the Cyclone Spin was there, with a Weekend always camping that lane. This is the similar style. This time, it's going to be Kiki solo with Skeeledon in the jungle, reviving the old EnVyUs style.
So we touched upon this Arachne and what she sort of brings, right? She's got a steroid that's going to also heal her, and the spiders are going to act as a slow. Skeeledon in trouble, trying to go for the invade, and Most Wanted will defend their speed buff. Good call coming out from the challengers. But what enables the Arachne to work out in the solo now? What's so different? Or is it just Kiki going against the grain?
If Kiki didn't have the Wrath and didn't invade the way they did, if all things went neutral, then Aquarius would be able to just clear the way freely at level 2, right? And Kiki can't really provide the same kind of poke presence at level 2 as opposed to only having one ability, right? Chaac at level 1 is not as good as Arachne at level 1.
For sure.
So this is why we saw that disparity, being able to zone away 2 members, both the Chaac and the Thor, being able to just stop them from getting their own blue buff. So now this is why Kiki just snowballs a little, almost out of control, I would say. Despite only being both level 7, Kiki's about to hit level 8. He's building into that physical defense first, so he's going to be able to start diving that tower, absorbing and mitigating a lot of that damage.
And this is sort of the benefit of playing an unfamiliar matchup. If Aquarius comes into this game with a Wrath, things go a completely different way. But he's unfamiliar with playing against the Arachne, and Kiki's able to utilize that to his advantage. And like you said, if things go neutral, this matchup doesn't go successfully for Kiki whatsoever. So Kiki leans on the fact that Aquarius has probably never competitively played against a solo lane Arachne. I can say that pretty confidently. Nobody really plays this.
Nobody really is brave enough to pull out the Arachne, honestly. It's a high-risk, high-reward kind of god. Shattered is one of the only reputable players to actually bring it out consistently.
And that's in the jungle.
And exactly like you mentioned, sometimes he'll even go Sunder, electing to utilize his ultimate as a defensive mechanism, not utilizing that Sanctuary. But look at this, Most Wanted trying to go for a sneaky Gold Fury.
And this time around, NeiruMah going to try and disrupt. There's no Wrath on the side of Most Wanted, and so they're going to have to walk away from it.
Not able to really secure that Bacchus kill, just too tanky, despite not having any sort of real physical defense. Just being drunk all the time gives you so much physical and magical defense that, or damage reduction in general, that you can't be able to lock him down, despite being so, there's not enough levels at this point in time to lock down this Bacchus.
And now Aquarius looking up on the Kiki, like we said, about half a level, maybe even a full level, honestly. Skeeledon again, camping solo.
Once, twice, thrice, this is what Skeeledon needs to do. Just deny the blue buff of Aquarius. Get Kiki ahead. Get these double assassins between the Bastet and the Arachne in a position where they can start transitioning that into diving and killing ManRay in these team fights, which is going to make things so much easier, not having to worry about the sustain.
And right now, it's sustained out of team money. So, Most Wanted, for what it's worth, the Rama and the ManRay and the NikHaro, this combination will sort of come into itself in a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 minutes. I think we'll see the ManRay real damage be able to come online. He's stacking up the Dome Orb right now. One more wave and he'll be very close to the max stacks. And then he'll look for the boots, the invade onto the speed buff this time around. Plazma gonna go forced up to the sky. He's low HP, so I don't know how aggressive he's willing to go. And it's not going to be aggressive whatsoever.
Skeeledon, though, trying to deny the speed buff was successful. Gets the blue buffs away. So overall, EnVyUs has been doing a great job so far with these 2 kills, with these constant controlage of the solo lane side. They've been extending their goal lead to about 2,000 or so, trying to kill Plazma here, but doesn't have the cooldowns. But now the Scratchies will get the kill.
ManRay body blocked his own jungler. That's unfortunate. Nice talk coming out of NikHaro, but nobody really to follow up, so the ultimate not going to really be about anything. Aquarius under his own tower, going to use the ultimate, and Kiki just doesn't care.
Not at all. This is what we're talking about, Arachne, with tier 2 of that breastplate having a little bit, I'm sorry, tier 1 of that breastplate, a little bit of physical defense, and the sustain from the bite of the first ability is allowing him to make this offensive charge into the tier 1 tower.
We're going to see him back, and he'll finish up that breastplate. So it's just going to get worse for this Chaac, man.
It's not easy, man, especially having 2 forms of CC between the Wrath and the second ability, which will provide the stun, as well as having the slow on the webs. The spiders will chase you down, just providing a little bit of extra additional damage. And now, with Aquarius' ultimate down, Kiki's ultimate is available. He could look for another tower dive if he wants to.
So, I mean, the way we've described this character, it almost seems that everybody should play her. There's the initiation coming out from Plazma. The way we describe this character, and I'm sure it feels this way to Aquarius, it kind of seems like, well, there's no downside to Arachne. How do you take advantage of her?
Well, going to take advantage of Thor without his hammer is NeiruMah. Great rotation, being with a counter gank from Skeeledon. Kitties are being in place, forcing the Rama into the sky. DayToRemeber trying to get Cabom low, not really hitting that second snipe. Buying time, but it's not going to be enough. That's a second dead member from Most Wanted, and now EnVyUs with a gold fear to look at.
Yeah, it's easy. This one's going to be easy for Envy. Nobody really able to make the rotation. You've got ManRay here that has a snipe, right? He's just going to cross his fingers and hope that he can deal the damage, but everybody else from Envy, going to look for the zone. ManRay keeping everything in his sights. Here comes a snipe. It goes, but Most Wanted is able to take it away. ManRay on the money, and he gets the gold fury for him and his team. NikHaro part of that one as well. Looking for the kill on the NeiruMah. Can't quite find it just yet. But ManRay proves successful and takes away the gold fury. That'll keep everybody in the game. NeiruMah just barely avoided that one.
His toes must have been on fire after that one. He felt the smoke on the tail end of that one. So Aquarius now having to deal with the ever so relentless KikiSoCheeky playing this Arachne. So Most Wanted coming back into the game a little bit, because that gold swing would have helped EnVyUs get about a 4,000 gold lead, essentially.
Extremely important for ManRay to get that. Like, that's one of those leads that you run away with. Right? When you have that 4,000 gold lead at 10 minutes, you just absolutely run away with it. 2,000, 1,000, that's where you're supposed to be, I guess. NikHaro in a little bit of trouble.
Has a sustain.
Keep up for it. However, there's a lot of sustain, but that's still a 1-on-4 totally. Knocked up and knocked down. KikiSoCheeky finds his second kill of the game. Certainly acting cheeky with this Arachne pick. Working out very well for him, and as I said, if you've been following the scene for a while, it's no surprise that Kiki's bringing out the bug.
And I like what EnVyUs is doing. I don't expect them to really go for any more gold furies off of that failed attempt. They just need to control the soloing the same way they've been doing the whole entire game. They've been shutting down every single blue buff from Aquarius. They got multiple speed buffs, and they've just been locking down Aquarius playing this Chaac repeatedly. Can't even escape.
Yeah, here's another one. This is going to be death number 3 for Aquarius. Shifty move. Kiki still trusting the spiders.
See? Kiki's won with the spiders, man.
He totally gets it.
I went to his place one time to actually get a bike from him, because he actually lives about 3.5 miles from the office.
Okay.
And I actually saw like a whole jar of spiders in his room, man. I was weirded out by it, but I'm like,
afraid of spiders. Don't play him up. He's afraid of spiders.
I'm telling you, man. No, he's friends with the bugs, man.
I don't believe that one for a heartbeat. 7-0 right now. Envy, hearts are beating pretty fast right now. This game is elimination time for both of these teams, and you know that's what makes this Arachne choice even that more exciting and impressive, is the fact that your back's against the wall. Everything, your entire season can end right now. Pick me Arachne for the solo lane, right?
That's like confidence right there, honestly.
It.
Despite transitioning into that mid-roll, it's like riding a bike sometimes, you know, Kiki playing the Arachne. It's nothing that you easily forget. You respect, or you understand rather, the damage and the sustain that you have out of this god. And like we saw, Aquarius did not understand that factor, and now Kiki yet again showing what Arachne is truly capable of.
Yeah, it's just about the dominance, but here's my question, Anatoly. How does Kiki transition transition into the team fights? Is he going to be like Skeeledon was last game and just try to take players out one by one?
He's just going to be trying to limit ManRay in these team fights, trying to shut down the healing. Even if they can get him out of these fights, that's the main priority goal. But now Plazma in the sky, trying to land onto Kiki, but he sees that assistance is coming. Going to be able to land down. The snipe is good. ManRay taken out.
Important play right there, able to answer back. Finally, get on the board for Most Wanted. EnVy kept at bay, and they weren't able to rotate over to the solo lane. And that was going to be my question. How long is Most Wanted going to let Aquarius just get abused before they answer back?
Well, they could keep baiting him out here. As long as the Gold Fury is not available to be snuck by EnVyUs, they should be able to play off of the over-aggressive style from Kiki. This whole time, he's been sitting at the Tier 1 tower line, going under the tower just to get the guaranteed bite off. Any sort of damage that he takes from the tower gets instantly negated. But now it's NeiruMah jumping onto NikHaro, though. The ultimate coming out. The taunt is good as well. Going to be able to pop a little bit of health back up. And that could be a counter engage, but without the raw searing pain, they're just going to be able to sustain back up and wait for that second opportunity.
So Arachne here, level 14. This character is somebody she's similar to Loki, where if she gets ahead, can just be an absolute assassin nuisance. One more time, Aquarius in trouble. He finds a knock-up. This time, EnVy won't chase him under the tower. I stress this time because they have every single other time. Keep an eye on that gold figure. It's coming up soon. Kiki, if he gets off to a tear, he could just be. Can he hard carry the game by himself? Totally.
It looks like he might be going into Fatalis. So if that's the case, I could see him being able to chase down everybody. Aquarius without an ultimate, knocked out by NikHaro. Team Money making the rotation. Guaranteed Tier 1 tower. Clean kill yet again. Aquarius has been struggling.
Great timing coming out from EnVy. The Gold Fury is about to spawn, but hasn't just yet. They're able to full commit on the right side, take out the player and the tower, and still make it back to the left side in time to defend if Most Wanted start up the Gold Fury, or take it themselves if that's the direction they choose to go. So EnVy absolutely timed their full commit on the right side flawlessly.
And we saw Skeeledon actually teleport behind the Gold Fury. It has been pulled so far very low, but DayToRemeber using the ultimate, not there in time. EnVyUs does confirm their first Gold Fury of the game, now extending their lead to about almost 5,000.
Yeah, which is huge. We're only 15 minutes in. Tier 1 tower on the solo lane already gone. 5,000 gold already up for EnVy. They are really
look where Kiki is. Kiki is just in the middle of nowhere trying to find any sort of kill. Going to be going into that ultimate. Going to be taking the portal. Barely able to escape that despite the knock-up. And that's why Janus is such a high important pick. The Raw was kind of baited out of EnVyUs. They didn't really care about the Raw because they got Janus on Team Money. Remember that first game, man?
Yeah.
Can we see it again? I want to see those snipes, man.
I mean, it's possible, but does he even have to play like that?
No.
Kiki's killing it right now.
It definitely helps if he hits the snipe.
Kiki and Skeeledon have just been tearing it up.
I mean, they've just been abusing Aquarius the whole game, unfortunately, right? With that invade. It was so smart, too. You know, dropping 2 webs on the speed buff, allowing Skeeledon to solo the speed, putting Wrath onto Kiki, and without any Wrath on Plazma or Aquarius, they can't contest this. They just have to make sure that Kiki gets out of the way. And they reset the blue. They don't get any gold or experience. They get outpushed in the solo lane, and this is how it all started off.
So Most Wanted has been down in this situation before, today, and they've been able to come back in some of those instances. With the Arachne, however, this is a very different scenario. How does Most Wanted fight their way back into this one,
Well,
Dolly?
they're down 5,000 gold at the 17-minute mark. As long as nobody gets initially 100 to 0'd, then they could utilize this raw sustain to get back into the game. They have a little bit more crowd control than EnVyUs between the Thor, the Erlang, Shen. Even the Shock Silence and the Slow is good enough to really control teamfight presence. But EnVyUs' damage is going to be coordinated on probably one single target. But Plazma now forced to go into the sky away from those kitties.
And he's going to land right down on top of Skeely, who's able to jump away into the mid lane. Here comes a support player. Not going to find much of anything on that Erlang Shen. Kiki's trying to dive as well, but he's stopped by a good Thor wall.
Just trying to disengage now. The speed buff could be contested by EnVyUs. That's exactly where Kiki is heading to, and the Wrath has been used. I'm not sure which one got it so far. It did get stolen away by Kiki.
Yeah, that one's going to go the way of the spider. He'll make his way right back over there. onto the right side of the lane. Aquarius has to be careful. He doesn't have a tower to walk back to this time. ManRay playing hot and loose with the ultimate. Not going to find much of anything there, but I like the idea.
Trying to set up off of NikHaro's Javelin toss, just unfortunately off the mark there. Looking at his build, he does have the Doom Orb fully stacked up, Shoes of the Magi, Obsidian Shard, utilizing that heavy glass cannon build that he did the first game against Snowball, but unfortunately the team fights just haven't been in Most Wanted's favor.
Yeah, just not going to be able to find some of these shots. NikHaro just sort of bothering NeiruMah here.
It looks like Kiki elected to go for the Wing Blade to make sure that he doesn't get slowed continuously by the Chaac during the healing rain. I thought that it was going to be the Fatalis almost guaranteed, trying to lock down anybody that's running away, but instead, it's good offensive and a defensive tool.
19 minutes, just shy of it, and well, there's the cats on a DayToRemeber. Going to take a trip to the sky, and his tier 1 tower is going to fall down. Team Money just fired to forget to the right-hand side. Down comes a Thor. Everybody on Most Wanted just missing this time around. Nothing fruitful there. And as I was saying, 19 on the clock. Most Wanted now down 6,000 gold with the loss of their tier 1 tower. Only 7 kills. EnVy have been able to really exert their pressure all over the map just by making sure the enemy solo laner can't rotate, making sure the enemy solar laner is sad, making sure the enemy solo laner has 4 deaths. Like, it's just been Kiki making sure that Aquarius doesn't have an impact in the game.
Yeah, Chaac from behind is one of the worst warriors to transition into team fights. Level 16 versus 18 on Arachne for Kiki. So I'm really excited to see once these team fights happening, how impactful is this double assassin comp really going to be for EnVyUs? Because right now, Most Wanted, I still feel like they have a slight lead in terms of just overall control in team fights. The question is, can they group up? Or are they going to be constantly pulled wherever EnVyUs wants them to be pulled and keep getting their tower stripped away from them? Because now Skeeledon is sitting at level 18. He has 3 out of 4 of those penetration items finished. Now working on that Crusher, does have the teleport, and that's where he's going to go for. He's going to go for either that solo or duo tower once that's complete.
And you know, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Most Wanted certainly have a lot of control here, and I'll agree, but if you're dead, how do you use your control? And that's kind of been EnVy's entire game plan.
Just got to group up if you're Most Wanted, honestly, and not allow EnVyUs to really do anything about it. Plazma going into the sky as EnVyUs start the Gold Fury.
Kiki does have the available shot, and this one's going to go to EnVy. Here's a turnaround fight. Plazma already down to about half HP. Here comes Team Money, saving himself with the ultimate. NeiruMah going to say turn around and use the same portals. And everybody from EnVy, they quickly take the objective, and they quickly get out of there.
But now they're grouped up as 5, so they're going to get at least a tier 1 tower for their troubles. They don't want to overextend to the tier 2, but a lot of ultimates were expended for EnVyUs. The only one that's still up is Kiki, but it's going to be split pushing on the right-hand side. Plazma forced to deal with that split push.
And there it goes. It won't be a Fatalis, it will be the Winged Blade. So a little bit of the slows that come out from the various players on Most Wanted will be negated, excuse me. And here comes the wrap around, quite literally. DayToRemeber is going to get wrapped, and he's going to go ahead and use a Sanctuary, but is it going to be safe and sound?
Oh.
Not quite. Kiki jumps on top. EnVy continuing the team fight to the front side. Team Money in trouble. Aquarius able to make an impact finally in this match, but Skeeledon fantastically takes down the support. Tier 1 tower goes down. EnVy looking so good right now.
Aquarius has nowhere to go. Utilizing that axe, he could potentially go back into it to avoid the stun. Using the raft to buy him some time. The healing rain not going to be good enough to disengage from that one. So overall, a 1-for-3 trade. The rest of EnVy is now going to be able to group down middle while Skeeledon strips away that speed buff.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic game coming out for EnVy. It's exactly sort of the pocket pick, the pocket strategy that they have in mind with their backs against the wall. They need to play this double assassin, Kiki specifically on this Arachnid, and he's certainly making this one count.
Plazma, though, he was forced to go into the sky, trying to deal with a split push Bastet on the right, but that bought EnVy enough time to try to go for this mid Phoenix in middle. Looks like they are going to be able to get it. Kiki going into the sky, should be able to get out away from this one. ManRay's ultimate is available, but he's not in range to really find it.
Yeah, ManRay sees the spider, but unable to, like you said, find and catch up.
The Janus, every time I see, I'm just like, I get just antsy.
ManRay. I thought he might have still been back there, but Most Wanted getting a little bit fancy here, looking for the Fire Giant. Skeeledon is available, does not have a Wrath, and we're gonna see half HP on EnVyUs Gold Fury right now. Still even lower, Fire Giant still being pushed down. Kiki gets a couple of kills. Fire Giant's gonna be leashed, picked up, and EnVyUs able to steal it away. Aquarius now giving chase as Kiki's giving chase on the ManRay. ManRay still trying to find a way out. That speed of light is gonna be negated by the slow. The bug gets another one. Kiki is carrying the game. The return to solo has been successful. Envy wipe them down, and they're gonna move on. Most Wanted have looked so hot, but it ain't hot enough. KikiSoCheeky, shotgun divorce, Gaga's little monster. He's back, baby, and he's coming in hot.
And don't forget Coma Black as well, even diving that fountain in celebration. EnVyUs, congratulations for beating Most Wanted. Very impressive play by both teams, honestly, and I really like the different styles for them at this point in time. And I gotta keep pointing back into how well that Kiki was being able to abuse Aquarius playing the Chaac. Definitely didn't see that kind of invade coming right off the bat at level 1.
Yeah, and this is one of those games that I am thankful to be a broadcaster, not a player, because Most Wanted from minute 1 have to just be looking up like, what do we do? What do you do against this Arachne?
Honestly, you just have to abuse the fact that she was constantly sitting out your tower line. We saw Plazma being able to make that primary rotation at first around level 10 to 12, but after that there was nothing really, there was no pressure alleviated from Aquarius, so he just kept getting pummeled constantly by Skeeledon's rotation. On top of this, I don't think he got a single blue buff that whole entire game. And then eventually, EnVyUs started utilizing their advantages to take away some of the speed buffs as well. The only important factor for Most Wanted that third game was the fact that ManRay hit that snipe to be able to deny EnVyUs that first Gold Fury, which kept Most Wanted in the game for a little bit longer.
Yeah, you know, again, even in a game as dismal and as dim as that one was for Most Wanted, ManRay still made an impact play.
Yep.
Got to give your hats off to ManRay on the other side of things. He had a fantastic afternoon. Most Wanted will fall short, and it'll be Envy taking on Enemy here as we come down to our second half of the Gauntlet. But if we, you know, Most Wanted put on a fantastic performance yesterday in the European side of the Gauntlet. We didn't even see one team come and play Leapfrog. This time around, Most Wanted plays gets it almost twice. They're able to topple Noble and then bring Envy to a game number 3. Fantastic performance out of Most Wanted. I want to see some of these guys play along a little bit later next year.
I'm expecting big things to come out of Most Wanted in Season 4, the way they've been playing. They've been making slow and steady improvements because they looked a little shaky at the LAN, actually, because against Astral Authority, like we mentioned before, they were down both games, 7,000 the first game, 9,000 gold in the second, and they made those important comebacks.
Yep.
And now, like we saw today from them so far, they've been just doing a great job, always improving. And then off of this loss, you can definitely expect them to go back into the books and be like, okay, how do we deal with double assassin? How do we make sure that this kind of invade doesn't happen to us again? And I'm expecting them to start worrying about the Wrath invades, right? So you have to start warding at level 1 more often, or at least in the right positioning, and ward that speed buff.
Yeah, I mean, you live and learn, right? And that's definitely one of the situations that we see this team come into. And Most Wanted are just going to succeed and find some sort of improvement as time goes on. Looking across the way at how Kiki was doing it again, this is his position, man. Absolutely. I think a lot of the fans that are newer sort of looked at Kiki in the mid lane and said, why is he still on the team? I've heard that a number of times. I've read that a number of times. Twitter, Reddit, 4chan, etc. Just everybody has been very harsh on Kiki, and you know what? Maybe for good reason. His mid lane was lukewarm.
It was just a different style that a lot of players weren't used to. Playing the Aphrodite, playing the Chang'e, they're being able to have their own identity, but now with such a drastic roster change with Cyclone Spin, Oceans, and Polar Bear Mike leaving, this forces both Kiki and Skeeledon to form a new identity. This is why we see the shift in mid to solo for Kiki. And I don't think that necessarily that was a bad thing where Kiki was playing in middle. He was still doing a good job in middle. It fit his team style.
Sure, and you know, in that different team style, I think there was some success and there was some not so successful periods of time. And I think Kiki was, I won't say bad, I won't say good, I'll say, you know, pretty much lukewarm. But here, seeing the shift over to the solo lane already more impressive. And like I said, in my eyes, longtime Smite viewer, this is his position. This is his home spot. So I expect to see Kiki be very successful, and I'm excited to see him return there. I think this is the spot for him to go, and I think things can only go up from here as Kiki gets more acclimated to his original position.
This was like about 2 years ago at the first regionals where he was actually in Snipe in the solo lane with Weekend, with Jerby also back then playing middle lane. Having the Arachne solo lane in his arsenal was very difficult to deal with at that point in time, but now he's still managing to bring it out despite not playing it for about 2 years.
Yep, so Kiki's absolutely crushing it. And then as we move over to see some of the new applications, here's my question. T-Money, Cabom, and NeiruMah, do you think these are permanent applications? Do you think they're permanent players on the team?
I mean, it just depends on how well they synergize together, right? We don't know what their comms are like. We don't know how much fun they're having, because the most important thing for a team is how successful they are. And then the secondary phase is how much fun are they having together inside the Smite and then outside of Smite. So EnVyUs, they've been looking pretty good so far in being able to take out Most Wanted, who looked very strong today. So we'll see as the future progresses. EnVyUs versus Enemy coming up next.
That's what we're going to take a look at. Enemy, with their same old roster, are going to have to take on a very new Envy. We'll be back in just a few here on hi-rez TV.